Okay, I wanted to talk about Donald Trump's hands for a moment. This is, I just let me start out. First of all, Jen Christensen over at CNN says this is a piece at CNN.com. It was published on March 8th, and the highlight is "Manhood Myth, or Reality." The headline, excuse me. And he says, we decided to investigate what the science says in this matter. And it says, if a man's ring finger is long relative to his index finger, chances are his, I'm going to clean this up a little bit just, in case somebody's kids are in the car. In case his, chances are his equipment is slightly longer than average. One enterprising group of scientists also measured this phenomena on rats, found the same thing. 2011 Korean study of 144 men undergoing urological surgery found this connection. Another Korean study in 2015 saw the same connection in newborns. An Egyptian study that same year examining 2,000 healthy men confirmed the same. No correlation between weight, height, or waist circumference and equipment length, just the finger ratio. A 2007 Iranian study of 1,500 healthy men provided more evidence of that common methodology. So then we see Napoleon's size confirmed. Channel 4 documentary calls the artifact very small. Yes, on autopsy, they cut it off, and it was passed down through these families. And poor Napoleon, writes Ella Alexander in The Independent. Nearly 2 centuries after his death, it has been confirmed that the French military and political leader had a very small, measured at a modest 1.5 inches. Right. Hitler's was bad, had a tiny deformed one, as well as only one testicle. It has long been suspected that Hitler's conquest of Europe was an attempt to compensate for lack of potency elsewhere. A new book claims the leader of the Third Reich had a micro thing. Hitler suffered from a condition called hypospadias, which left him with an abnormally small contraption. And it's so severe that he has to urinate from a hole at the base of the shaft instead of the tip, etc. So it goes on to that. So then Marty Kaplan. Now, Marty Kaplan, I've met Marty Kaplan a couple of times. He's a really wonderful guy. He's a professor at USC, the Annenberg professor, and he's the director of the Norman Lear Center. And he writes this piece over at Huffington Post. This was published on March 7th, and I've been sitting on this for a while, but he visited Mar-a-Lago back in the 80s when Trump had first bought it, and his girlfriend was living there. She was helping redecorate it. And so he flew down to Mar-a-Lago, and he says, one morning after a good long run, when I pushed open the locker room door, I found myself face to face with 2 guys peeling off their sticky tennis whites. Who the F are you? Donald Trump asked. I'm Katrina's boyfriend, I said. Nice to meet you, sir. And he said, and then Marty Kaplan writes, I tried to keep my eyes locked on his, but I must have glanced downward, and he nailed me. See, these guys are all naked in the shower. Guys don't like to admit it, but we can't help checking each other out. It's kind of an alpha thing. What are you looking at? Trump asked. It was actually the whiteness that had caught my eye. No, really, it wasn't just that he wasn't spray tanned down there. It was also hairless as a baby's butt. Nothing, sir, I said, looking straight at him again, but I'd heard that shaving is supposed to make you look larger. I couldn't get what I'd seen out of my mind. You calling little Donald nothing, boy? No, sir. No. I stammered. Go ahead, look at it. No, really. I said, look at it. Do you like what you see? And then Marty Kaplan says, they say some guys are growers and some are showers. Trump was definitely not a shower. Probably not a grower either. I said, he repeated, do you like what you see, you little... And then he threw a swear word at Marty Kaplan. Yes, sir, I lied. Double lied. I do. Liar, he's lying, Ivan. Trump said to his pro, who was standing next to him, the tennis pro. Trump fixed me with that squinty look he sometimes had. I felt as though he were x-raying my mind. There's only one right answer. Sir? I have to see it all, he said. Show me all of it. That's the right answer, isn't it? Isn't that right, Ivan? Duh, said Ivan. Did I show you all of it? Trump asked Ivan. I think he's talking about, when it's fully engorged, shall we say. Tell him, Ivan. Duh. And you like what you saw, Ivan? Tremendous, Ivan said. Believe me. I did, Marty Kaplan writes. It was like a command relayed from the commander-in-chief, an order I couldn't refuse, right? So the headline is, I saw Trump's little Donald, believe me. And this all started 30 years ago with when Graydon Carter was the editor of Spy magazine. And he did a piece in which he referred to Trump as a short-fingered vulgarian. And he writes, "To this day, I receive an occasional envelope from Trump." Now, keep in mind, this was back in 30 years ago. "To this day, I receive an occasional envelope from Trump. There's always a photo of him, generally a tear sheet from a magazine. On all of them, he has circled his hand in gold Sharpie in a valiant effort to highlight the length of his fingers. I almost feel sorry for the poor fellow because, to me, the fingers look abnormally stubby." Carter says he received a "see, not so short" message from Trump as recently as 2015. So here's the question. If small equipment causes compensation of the variety that we saw in Hitler and Napoleon, do we have a whole additional problem here to worry about? I mean, should Donald Trump be getting psychotherapy? There actually is a syndrome associated with this, a psychological syndrome for some men, and it is treatable with good psychotherapy. Or if we get President Trump, are we looking at, Napoleon kind of, conquer the world behavior just for compensation?
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.